Welcome to GHOSTWATCH2016. The three of us are watching Kamen Rider Ghost. My name is Coriander Dickinson, and I have seen every single Kamen Rider.
My name is Heather Deary. I've also seen every single Kamen Rider.
My name is Kate Stark, and yes, I have also seen every single Kamen Rider.
The end.
Good podcast.
So, Kate, how did you see every single Kamen Rider?
Just like the two of you, at the beginning of this episode, there was a recap on every single Kamen Rider for the past 45 years. Spoilers, there's been a lot of them.
Which one was your favorite? Hodor?
My Kamen Rider, the ghost who's not a bug.
No. My favorite was Drive, because his outfit has a tire wrapped around his torso and a spoiler on his hat.
I think my favorite was the one where they went all Yu-Gi-Oh!, which I think was Blade.
Oh yeah, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Was pretty strong.
With the cards. They had cards.
And a sword.
Sword. I'd say probably a solid 4 minutes at the beginning of this episode was just, here are the Kamen Riders for the last 45 years.
I mean, 45 years, 4 minutes. That seems like a good summary.
I mean, they really, really brushed over a few. They did not spend time in the middle.
No. I got every single intricate detail of every single episode that has ever happened. I could tell you anything now.
We are now the three foremost Kamen Rider experts in the world. So if you have a Kamen Rider convention coming up and you want experts in the field to speak on panels, please contact us at contact@ghostwatch2016.xyz.
I don't have an email on that.
Contact
URL.
us on Twitter at GHOSTWATch2016 if you want us to speak on your panel at Kamen Rider Con.
This is episode 25.
Disturbance, the Red Sky.
Spoilers.
On last week's episode, on a couple weeks ago episode,
On the previous episode of Kamen Rider Ghost,
we had a rat tent, some fresh new hotness in the form of a Power Ranger, and Goemons?
Goemon?
Goemons. This week we have 63 days left.
Those days are really long.
the episode starts with Pretty Boy agreeing to help Taco Time
But Akari doesn't want him to go yet.
because she saw Pretty Boy smiling at some ducks.
Literally, that's what happened. Pretty Boy walked over to the water, saw some ducks. There's a intense close-up shot of Pretty Boy smiling, and Akari's like, not yet.
Yeah, she really hates smiling, especially Pretty Boy smiling. This whole episode, she hates it a lot.
He's got a nice smile, though.
It's a little creepy.
Only because of the close-up shot.
It's not a smile. I'd say it's more of a grin. There's no teeth involved.
Oh, there were teeth. That's the problem.
I did not see the teeth.
He made like a wedge shape with his mouth.
No.
Yep.
Then suddenly it's nighttime and we're outside an office building.
We are inside a building and Sweaty Emperor is communicating over Skype with Steampunk.
Through a projector.
I thought it was FaceTime.
They were FaceTiming.
There
is an icon video call using an icon to project an image. So I guess Steampunk now has an assistant icon that he keeps in his pocket to make phone calls for him.
So, a Siri icon.
We're going to call that icon Siri.
Can we get an icon that is Siri?
We already have Siri. We don't need an icon.
But Siri might like to go traveling outside of the phone. You know, go on some adventures with some tiny table friends. It could be a good episode. Just saying.
Hey Siri, do you want to go to Gnome Hell?
I have everything I need in the cloud.
I guess that's a no.
Okay then.
I honestly don't think I would want Siri to go to Gnome Hell.
So Steampunk reminds us all that Demia Project is a thing.
We haven't heard about Demia Project in episodes.
And he says that Eminem is still kicking around somewhere, interfering maybe in some way.
But then he also talks about this other person that's in the room with him. His other new friend and assistant.
This was my favorite part, I think, of any episode that's ever happened, where he says, "Looks like it's your turn, airplane Ganma."
So we're calling this one Airplane Gnome.
Like,
Yeah.
not even trying anymore.
The show's making it really easy for us to do nicknames now.
Airplane Ganma. And then all of us, we paused and we're like, okay, they're not going to do a full reveal of this outfit because we know what this outfit is going to look like. We were wrong. We're like, this is going to be in like silhouette or...
It was a little too well lit to be completely silhouette hiding.
But basically, behind him, we see like a Wright Brothers airplane man.
Someone dressed as a biplane.
Yep,
It's
that's a good description.
Who spins and then does like a little like bow thing where he stays on one leg and tilts over.
and he makes a propeller noise with his
just-
mouth.
Yeah.
And then he jumped off a building.
That was later.
And then he jumped off a building.
That's later.
Jumps off a couple buildings.
Because then it's daytime.
And we're in the graveyard.
Taco Time's gonna leave with Pretty Boy to go to Gamma Hell.
And Onari and Akari and QB and Cannon are
Yep.
all like, no.
You weren't gonna say goodbye?
Then they were saying that Spectre's body in Gnome Hell isn't going to be touched yet because Emperor Brother likes it too much.
It's a good body.
And also, White Sister is there.
Akari is still very untrusty of Pretty Boy because Pretty Boy keeps smiling, and she's just like, "You clearly want something else other than Spectre."
Are you having second thoughts?
Pretty Boy says he wants to make the utopia his father had wanted, but then also kind of gets annoyed at some point and just kind of walks out.
QB follows him. And Taco stays back and talks to Akari, saying that he also doesn't really trust Pretty Boy. But Makoto gave his icon life for Pretty Boy.
And those feelings must have reached Pretty Boy, because who wouldn't be touched by your icon body shattering in front of you?
Okay, my note here says make a promise, and I don't know who he's promising what.
Do you want to make a promise to us right now?
Yeah, Corey.
I promise that this will be the best episode of Ghostwatch 2016, episode 25.
Whoa! Lofty
Wow.
promises.
We meant just like to us to be like friends or something, not to the audience. We don't want to make them promises.
No, I was promising you guys.
Oh, okay.
Oh, all right.
Well, do you want to talk about what happened next?
Next, an airplane jumped off a building.
Okay, so we're at the office building again, and it's an exterior shot. An airplane gnome jumps off the top of it and goes whoosh by the camera.
Yep.
And then he starts leaving chemtrails.
Red
ones.
Chemtrails.
Yep.
They melt steel beams.
Probably. They're not good, it seems.
So the building that he jumped off of was the one that QB painted earlier that has the company Deep Connect in it. And we go into the interior, and Mr. Possessed President is giving a presentation in front of the giant rotating logo of Deep Connect, which still doesn't mean anything.
Not to us. But we find out that it's an operating system. And
No. Is it?
well, that's what he says. And he says people will be connected to everyone and everything. And once you're connected to the world, you are the world.
This operating system is called Demia.
And it's going to lead to utopia.
The perfect
I felt like
utopian world.
they were trying to be very Apple in their presentation and failing hard.
I mean, they got a white man and everything.
I know, but he didn't wear a turtleneck.
Wasn't he wearing a turtleneck under his suit? I could have sworn. Maybe I projected that because I wanted it so badly.
The turtleneck might have been in your mind. I don't know.
It was in your mind this whole time.
The presentation then transitions onto a YouTube-like page on Akari's iPad, and we are now in Snapple.
And Akari thinks things are fishy, but Onari's all like, but we investigated many times.
Then the students run in and are like, the sky!
The sky!
The sky
The
falls.
sky.
I mean, it's red or something. The sky is broken!
And we cut to a man stumbling through an alleyway.
His face is all cut up and he's falling into trash bags.
And it's Military Man, and he's fallen, and he can't get up.
really clean-looking trash bags, though. Like, they're all white trash bags, and
Maybe it was recycling.
maybe.
Probably like burnables, right?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how Japan does their garbage.
They burn their garbage.
What?
They incinerate their trash.
They're a tiny island with lots of people. They don't got room for garbage dumps.
Yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
They also are very strict about their recycling days, and you put it out on the porch. At least as far as all the anime I've seen.
Is there a way that they could burn the trash and then turn that burning into energy?
Yep.
Do they do it?
Some places, yeah.
Japan.
But like a school building might not necessarily do it, right? Or they might, use it for heat for buildings.
Brilliant.
Military man has a flashback to the time he got possessed by a butt hugger.
I forgot about that.
He says he
that's
doesn't
all.
remember anything after that.
Nobody
Can you imagine
remembers.
just being like, oh, I'm getting my butt kicked. And then, like, you wake up inside of an explosion later.
No,
With-
I
with
can't
your,
imagine.
With your real body. Just like, I was fighting. I was a battle cat. And then I was an explosion in a different location.
I would not want to get amnesia as any of these characters because trying to piece back all of your memories would just be really confusing. Hey, remember that time you were in a photocopier coffin and then an explosion? Yeah, those... No, I don't really want to.
Yo, I just realized all of these people are on some heavy, heavy, heavy drugs.
If they have not broken down at this point.
And I want to be a part of it.
Part of your
world. Give me your drugs.
We're outside Snapple where there's a whole bunch of red smoke in the air.
The population of Snapple. Everyone runs outside. And they see all the red sky. And they go, it's too early for sunset. What's going on? Sweet, darling Akari is like, you know what? We need a sample of that red sky.
Because something, somewhere, is bending the light.
Science.
Yeah, like it looks like smoke, but she keeps talking about how it's like this weird light bending, altering substance in the air.
Science.
So Tako and Onari go up onto a rooftop, and Onari uses Spider Lantern to reveal that Yura-san was there. Woo!
And then Yura-san's like, hey, I'm not your sidekick, you dummies. And they're like, but can you just do this thing for us real quick? And Yura-san's like, okay.
And they give him a plastic bag.
No. He says he will not do it because he's afraid of heights, but then they bribe him with takoyaki.
And then he says yes. So this was the cutest thing I think we've ever seen in the show. Yura-san flies up to this red cloud in the sky and takes this little bag and just goes whoop, whoop, and fills the bag with air. And then the saddest part happened. Yura-san is flying back down to Tako.
And he gets shot out of the sky.
Pop, 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 pop. How does one describe...
First, we get a glimpse of Airplane Gnome. But then the Yura-san puppet gets tossed from a great height into Onari's arms.
So there's a shot of Onari and Tako from above but on a rooftop. And it's as if there was a crew member on a platform or on a higher level of this roof who just lobs the Yura-san puppet for Onari to catch, or Tako to catch, whoever catches it, with this inflated bag glued to his hands. And then Onari spends the rest of the scene cradling the Yura-san puppet like a baby.
Yep.
It
It's
was so
Yura-san
cute.
has no more lines, but he's still in the scene.
It was really adorable.
Taco Time transforms into Billy the Kid.
And I'm very disappointed in the Billy the Kid jacket for not shooting Airplane while it had the chance. It did no violent action during the transformation. It tipped its hat and that was it.
They fight a little bit.
Now you can say the things.
Let's describe Airplane Gnome.
We have feelings on this plane.
He's not laid out the way you would expect.
No.
Ian described it, I think, appropriately as airplane descending a staircase.
I think I prefer the other description, which is if Picasso drew a biplane. There's a biplane wing on his left shoulder and a second one coming out of his chest, whereas the propeller is coming out of his right shoulder.
Well, there's a bee butt.
Like
with-
the thorax of a bee.
In brown.
Abdomen.
Was it the abdomen?
It's the
I
abdomen.
thought thorax was the big part.
No. Thorax is the skinny part of the bee.
I gotta Google this now.
I mean, bumblebees are fat all around, but most insects have a skinny little thorax.
Yep, you're
where
right.
all their leg bits come out.
You're not wrong.
It also has like a little propeller tie and this really thick W mustache.
Wario. Like if you took 4 Wario mustaches and glued them together, then
Yeah, like
slapped them on
you
your
could
face.
actually see the layers because there's like sections of the mustache.
And then he's got a hat.
Like a train conductor's hat, except with goggles glued to the front that are not for use, just for looks.
And then he's got like 2 tail fins on the back.
This was really dumb.
Also,
If-
it's like completely brown.
Like, if it's not coming across how stupid this looked, it was really stupid.
It was an airplane, not in the way you would lay out an airplane on a person.
Oh, and the majority of the time, Airplane Gnome was still, his arms were out to the side to look more like an airplane.
Which, again, doesn't make sense because the engine was on his right arm. So sticking his arms out, one of his arms was not a wing.
One of my favorite things about Airplane Gnome, though, is he could shoot lasers from his fingers if he made little guns,
Finger guns.
little finger guns, which seemed really weird.
He can fly and shoot finger guns.
I mean, that's better than Billy the Kid. Billy the Kid I expected to have finger guns.
But Billy the Kid has tiny table guns.
Yeah, but Billy the Kid is a terrible looking outfit and it could at least get finger guns.
Billy the Kid would be a lot better if it had finger guns.
So Billy the Kid and Airplane Gnome fight for a minute, and then Airplane Gnome flies away.
But it's okay because they still got that air sample, which the camera zooms in on so you can see that it is not just clear air, there are a bunch of red specks in it.
And they say they're going to take the air sample to Akari, and then Onari is going to keep observing the sky.
And Akari's all like, well, I've got all of this database information from when Dead Dad and crew were studying the monolith, so we're going to use that as the information base for figuring out what this red thing is.
In Gnome Hell, we have Spectre hanging out in a coffin while Emperor Brother watches.
Yeah, Spectre's just hanging out, totally unconscious.
And looking
chilling.
so good. Just wanted to point that out.
He got his beauty rest.
Oh my god, he looks so good.
Cut to Mrs. Fumi's stand.
This is the best part.
Yeah, this is the best part. This is my favorite part.
There's a bench off to the side of Mrs. Fumi's takoyaki stand. I got so excited I fumbled my words. And Pretty Boy is sitting there just shoveling takoyaki into his mouth. But the little piece that I love is that there is just an empty, like a stack of empty boxes next to him.
There's like 5 or 6 boxes next to him.
Yeah, he's just eating so much takoyaki.
Gorging
Before, when he
himself.
couldn't eat like one, and now he's eating all of it.
I think
And
it's the only food he knows exists.
Well, he had that sandwich.
Yeah, he had
And the
one
milk.
sandwich
And the
the
milk.
milk.
She actually says that he has had 10 boxes.
Yeah. Mrs. Fumi comes over because Pretty Boy is muttering to himself, saying, ridiculous.
55 times.
And Pretty Boy's all like, I thought you said you were 75. And she's like, no, that's the number of times you said ridiculous.
Also, you had 10 boxes of takoyaki, and just at that point, he's like, yeah, oh, and then he's like clearly got a stomach ache, and then he gets really mad because he's like, oh, this human body, you don't eat anything, and everything sucks, and you eat too much, and everything sucks. What is with this?
And so he's holding his stomach, and she's like, oh, you got a stomach ache. And then off to the side, QB and Cannon are painting together against a tree.
On a swing set.
Super cute. So then Cannon puts her painting down and runs over to Pretty Boy to help. And Mrs. Fumi gives him a bottle of water and is like, just drink this. But then Cannon, like,
And, well, Fumi's like, your clothes look like crap, man. They're tattered. Just like your boyfriend's clothes are in a mess.
Yeah, she calls him Cannon's boyfriend. I'm like, that's not,
I mean, she's been doing that ever since she saw the two of them together.
but still. Like that, she called him that as if it were his name, which was funny. But then Cannon like falls to the ground. And they're like, what's wrong? Are you okay? And she's like, no, I'm good. I just feel dizzy as hell, but I'm fine. She's not fine.
Yeah, next scene, she's being put into a bed in Snapple HQ.
And she is unwell.
Yeah.
We know this because she has the cough. Now, Corey, can we demonstrate the cough?
It's okay. I'm fine.
It's very much the I'm sick, but I'm not sick.
I'm
It's-
sick, but I'm in a stage play of some kind.
It's like you're being like, no, I'm sick. Listen to me be sick.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't come into work today. I'm sick.
Yeah.
It was dumb. Basically, QB really wants to paint the pretty sky.
But not the red sky, because the red sky is not pretty.
Also, they've just started blaming the red sky for what's happening to Canon, even though there's really actually no reason to.
Well, the reason is that PB is there, and he's all like, the atmosphere in Gomna World, in Gnome World, also affected her poor constitution.
Oh, I must have missed that part, because all I was just like, I looked down and I looked up and they're like, yeah, she gets headaches because red sky. And I'm like, oh, okay.
Taco then puts the two together and was like, oh yeah, Gnome World, there's red sky, and here there's red sky, and
Gnomes.
maybe the two of them
And
correlate.
Kari's all like, oh, they must be modifying the atmosphere.
Trying to make it more like their own world, utopia.
Yeah, then they walk into the other room away from Kano, and what I like is they just keep kind of doing this where they're like, where Taco Time's like, we have to do something, but what? Wait, you, give me all your heroic icons, pretty boy. I know what to do. And pretty boy's just like, oh, okay.
And then Akari creeps out from behind PB and just like gives him the death glare of suspicion.
I think my favorite is just Taco says to Pretty Boy, give me your icons, and Pretty Boy goes, okay.
And then they all go down to the basement.
And Pretty Boy's like, wait, you got a mother effing monolith down here? No
Like,
way.
He is excited about their crib setup.
Yeah, it's like the first time you have a friend over and they notice that you have like a game system that they don't have, and they're just like,
You got
have
that new monolith?
Oh,
No
it's so
way."
good. Monolith.
My parents won't let me have a monolith.
I've been wanting to play Monolith for like the last 6 months.
They said I had to get a job and save up to buy my own monolith.
Where do you hook in the controllers on your Monolith?
They're wireless.
Ooh, fancy.
So then they go down there, and Taco is like arranging the icons on the front of the monolith in the shape of an eye. And then Pretty Boy, you hear his inner monologue, and he says, I can't use the icons as I am. However, and then he smiles, and then Akari's like, did you smile? You have an ulterior motive. And then you hear his inner monologue again. He goes, she knows.
Yeah, he
What a
gets,
suspicious lady. She's the worst.
he's just very much like, oh no, she can see when I am being sneaky. Whatever will I do? She's gonna be trouble. And then she goes into something about 5 wishes. I didn't really catch this.
I didn't catch that
Well,
either.
Taco's like, okay, we're gonna... Onari comes down, right?
Yeah.
Well, Taco
That's
says, all right,
later.
everything is ready. I'm good to go. And then Onari comes down and says, I saw the sky, and then sees Pretty Boy and bows to him.
And it's like, oh, what is this guy doing here?
And then goes over and talks to Taco and Akari about it.
And he's like, oh, does this mean you're coming back to life, Taco? And Taco's like, no, we're helping Cannon. And Pretty Boy's all like, what? He just thoughtlessly decided to help Cannon?
And put her life before his own? Huh.
And
Yeah.
so Akari, just proposes, what if instead of 1 wish,
We had 5?
And everyone just seems to accept this.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I looked down, so I thought maybe there was an extra explanation where she's like, hey, you know what? Instead of doing this way, if we do it another way, maybe we can get 5 wishes. Because it was just like, not, hey, you know what's better than 1 wish? 5 wishes.
I feel
Trust
like
me on this, guys.
I should clarify. For those who don't understand, this show is subtitled. And so sometimes when we're looking down taking notes, it's very easy to miss important plot points. We do our best.
I mean, it's easy enough to miss if there's a heavy action scene going on where something really weird is going on. It's easy enough to miss what's being subtitled.
So far, we've assumed that the wish system works like genies or like the Dragon Balls, and you have a limit.
Dragon Balls? They have a wish system? I don't want to know.
Okay, no,
That's
you
the point of
collect
the Dragon Balls.
Actually, the Dragon Balls work, I feel like, in a similar way to this. You gather all of them, you summon a dragon, you make a wish, and then they all go away again, and you have to gather them again
To get a new wish?
in order to do a new wish,
Oh, okay.
which is kind of what has happened with these icons.
Taco walks up to the monolith and transforms himself
Into his orange.
into orange dude, and then draws the eye in the air, which makes an eye, over top of the icons. Akari, I don't know how she knew this, but she goes, okay, protect yourself from the shockwave.
So everyone kind of huddles back under the loft.
Onari's the best.
Yes.
He goes under the futon, under Gramps' futon. And I think, what is it, train station is behind a giant teddy bear. But PB just hunches up near the ladder and like pulls out the Necrom icon. Like he's waiting for his moment to strike.
We get a quick cut to Emperor Brother in the light cathedral
I
thing.
think we called it a prayer room.
Prayer room.
Really quick before we cut back to the monolith thing, and then we cut back again to like a giant explosion going on in the prayer room with lights.
Brother Emperor was all like, well, it's finally time for me to do my utopia thing. And then everything explodes into the floor. And then a bunch of rays of light come out of the monolith and go everywhere.
And then Taco gets shot to the back of the room and is untransformed. And Pretty Boy's like, whoa, what just happened? But then QB runs in, interrupts all of this, and says, Cannon doesn't look so good.
Then they get a phone call.
On his iPhone.
Train station gets a phone call from airport. Airport is being attacked by airplane.
We're not kidding. And the fact that this happened, and we nicknamed these two episodes ago. Like,
well, his name's Narita. So even in
Yeah.
even in the context of the show, he's still an airport.
it's so funny.
Yeah.
And he's still being attacked
No,
by an airplane.
they knew what they were doing when they were making him be the one being attacked.
It's very funny.
Then we cut back to Emperor Brother, and a fire happens, and then it goes into his eyeballs.
Yeah,
And
it's like
he's
the,
just
it's like
like-
the image of what happened in the prayer room was burned into his retina.
Yeah, and he's just like, what is this vision? Commercial break time.
So, this is dumb. Taco runs outside to the two motorcycles, his and Spectre's motorcycle, the orange and blue ones. And he puts his hand onto Spectre's one and is like, says some words.
And we were like, you are not jacking Spectre's bike.
Guess what he does?
He jacks Spectre's bike.
So then he puts on a helmet and he rides away as Pretty Boy is watching from the stairs and says, well, I can't use my icons, but I can use Taco.
And then Military Man shows up in front of Pretty Boy, and Pretty Boy's like, you still here to kill me? And he's like, yeah, well, that's what I was told to do, so let's do this. And they both transform and start to fight.
So I've had a thought about Necrom because of his crush the invaders line at the end of his transformation. And that only really makes sense if Necrom is to fight aliens. Like Gnome World got invaded by aliens.
Interesting.
And that's why it's a post-apocalypse there.
Okay. I'm with you on that.
Aliens. And that's what the butt huggers are.
Yeah, okay. I can go along with
You've
this.
done some good mind work there, Corey.
Yep.
We see an excellent scene after this where Airplane is still attacking Airport, but he comes down really low in front of a road, and Taco Time just smashes right into him with his bike.
And then...
Okay, this is so dumb. There is a shot of Airport talking to Taco, and Taco is still on the motorcycle, but you can tell that he has just taken his helmet off. However, instead of just taking his helmet off, he reaches like above him off screen and essentially pulls the helmet down.
Like he's just like sitting there with his arms straight up in the air just off screen, and then he pulls it down.
There's no way. He could have just mimed the helmet close to his head. Obviously, they didn't show him taking the helmet off because then his hair would have been all fussed up. But the way they cut this was so stupid. I made Corey go back and like rewind so we could watch it again so I could show them how dumb it was.
You were right. It was very dumb. He was pulling the helmet from the sky.
And it might not have been the dumbest shot or cut in this entire show.
I think maybe for this episode, though.
Like, for example, during the chase scenes of Airplane attacking Airport, you were like, well, maybe they've got a drone.
No!
And then it cut to behind Airplane, and it's literally just the gnome running in front of the camera. Like, someone is holding the camera high up.
And running backwards.
Or something.
Well,
Or like on a
it's
skateboard and being pulled.
some of it's green screened.
Oh, this was the best. Airplane gnome says to Taco, I don't need any more turbulence from you.
And Taco transforms into his Grateful Deadness.
Grateful soul.
The thing I noticed this time about the Fat Pack, which is what I'm going to call it now,
The gold belt, yes.
the giant brick icon that
Yes.
he uses to transform, it doesn't have a ripcord anymore.
No.
It's just a little button on the side.
It's fancy. It's new tech.
Yeah, I miss the ripcord.
Disappointing. Like, ugh.
They
Wait a minute. He used his regular driver belt to transform earlier.
Yep.
Why does he... Never mind.
Don't worry about it, Corey.
Gonna
Don't-
keep going
Don't
forward.
worry about it. Just like
Don't
how
look back.
you shouldn't worry about the fact that they went from a field to underneath a parkade in their fight for no reason.
I mean, I think they just ran off. Like, I think those things were actually just next to each other, and they ran off the field into the parkade area and then ran back.
No.
I've given up on scene transitions in this show. All I know is that Airplane is running after Taco in a parkade, and we saw the stupidest shots ever, like you described. And
Well,
then
it was Airplane running through the parkade, but it was shot from below him to make it look like he was flying.
which was dumb.
While they're busy punching one another, we cut back to Necrom and Eminem punching each other in a forest.
In a forest.
And speaking of transitions, I thought this was still the same fight, so it went from parkade to forest. I was like, that was weird.
And then you realized it was different heroes. Now, okay, another great part of this episode.
Uh-huh.
Airplane is flying in the sky. And Taco needs to get to him, but
Oh, no.
can't fly.
Is Airplane 2... Wait. Doesn't he just use...
No.
Why
No,
doesn't
no.
he just use
Omega Drive?
Houdini?
Oh,
Who has
interesting.
he already jacked Makoto's bike. I think he could jack Makoto's
Houdini.
hoverboard
Quadcopter.
quadcopter.
So-
Backpack.
What ends up happening is that he summons Benkei. Now, what does he do?
I thought he was going to... I forgot that this is the way the Grateful Soul works. I thought he was going to, like, himself use Benkei's hammer attack in some way, but it actually just summoned the fighter soul of Benkei,
Which is like another person
which is like another person who hit him with the hammer.
into the sky. But then he summoned Tutankhamun. And what
'Cause
happened there?
he's like, oh, this isn't enough, so he summons Tutankhamun, and the Tutankhamun slashes him further into the air.
And then summons Musashi.
Who uses his double swords to further get
Give
him
a
up into the air.
boost.
And then he is at eyesight with Airplane. And Grateful Omega drives him. Ugh, such a dumb name.
And there is a giant explosion in the air.
Now we're back with Military Man and Pretty Boy. And they de-transform. And they're just like, oh, I'm so tired.
Yeah, it's not that they de-transform, it's they hit each other with their mighty punches, and it is enough force to exhaust all of their remaining energy. So they're just lying on the forest floor, griping at each other.
And Pretty Boy's like, oh, I guess my body, man, human bodies suck. Looks like you also have a human body, though. And Eminem's like, yeah, I'm just going to walk off now. Bye.
Yeah, that whole exchange makes me think that there's going to be a redemption arc for Military Man as well.
Yeah, I could see it.
Pretty Boy is saying, oh, the red sky is affecting me. Look how far we've fallen. I have to make my move. But that woman... Talking about Akari.
Speaking of that woman, back at Snapple Labs, Akari is sciencing super hard.
Oh my god. There's like the bag of the air, I guess, distilling into various beakers, and she's
Is
click-clacking.
a red fluid now.
Yeah.
Yep.
She's distilled it, and then she's
But she is intently staring at a computer.
click-clacking on some mechanical keyboard doing some science.
Then we're back to Steampunksman, who's looking up at the sky. He's like, yeah, everything's going according to schedule. I'm pretty pleased with this.
And then Taco's looking at the sky and saying, I beat the gnomes. Why didn't the sky change back? And then Corey, what happened with the camera?
It rotated like 170 degrees.
What do you mean?
It did the camera did, like, let's say an aileron roll.
Close up on Taco's face.
Yeah, it just like it got in close to Taco's head and then rotated so that his head was now pointing down to the right. Not like 90 degrees, but like 170.
For what reason?
No reason.
Hmm.
Kate, I think your suggestion that it was just the cameraman being a derp and them deciding they needed more footage.
Yeah, because sometimes I can see like a cameraman getting the shot and then being like, okay, that's obviously all they need. Just like, funny, I rotated it. And then in editing, they're like,
Oh,
we actually really needed that.
We need to stretch for time.
Well, just keep it in. Instead of just
Hmm.
slowing down or like freeze framing or literally any other number of editing techniques they could have done, they're just like, we'll rotate the camera. We'll keep it in. It's fine.
Or the episode had like a junior director, and that would explain a lot of the...
Edgy.
Not edgy, just experimental.
Maybe Airport grabbed the camera because he was also beside Taco Time and we couldn't see him anymore. Maybe he grabbed the camera and was trying to do a barrel roll and was unsuccessful.
Interesting. This episode was fine.
It was better than last episode, Kate.
Sure
That's
was.
why I said it was a good episode. Because it was better than the last episode, which was a bad episode.
I also want to point out that I told these two that I think this is a bad show. They told me, apparently, which I did not know, this is a show for children.
Yeah, I thought we told you that
I'm
once.
pretty sure that was like right at the beginning.
Yeah, but I thought you guys were like kidding. And you were like, oh yeah, it's a kid's show. Haha. No. I didn't realize that we were not the target demographic for this show. And this whole time I've just been like, man, this is a bad show. It makes a lot more sense.
You've just been holding that in the whole time.
I mean, I thought you guys were into it. And I was like, I don't want to sass on them for liking this terrible
okay,
show.
So no, that's not exclusive. I know it's a bad show. I like it.
I liked the show just fine. I was way more into it before the last episode. I feel like they've gotten really weird.
There are better seasons of the show that make more cohesive sense, that have better character growth and arc.
You've not been shown the best Kamen Rider, Kate. We're holding out on you.
I've been shown a Kamen Rider. And I will see it through to the end.
And then maybe we can watch a better Kamen Rider.
We'll talk about that.
Let's get Kate through this one.
Maybe I'll turn around.
Like that camera did?
Ocean. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast, and we hope you enjoy it. If you did enjoy it, how can they support us if they want to?
I hear we have a donate button on the website, which is at GHOSTWATCH2016.xyz.
Or Z, depending on where you're coming from. But that's true, there is. What if they want to talk to us and, like, engage?
Why do you keep making me talk when I'm the one with the braces? Corey.
Twitter.com/GhostWatch2016. If you want to listen to our podcast, I don't need to tell you where to go because you're already listening to it, but you can subscribe to us on YouTube at GhostWatch2016.
Scribscribe.
Scribscribe, also on iTunes.
Yeah.
And join us on... No, I've used all of them before. Elo, Peach.
Have you used like some of the Brazilian or Chinese ones?
No.
See, what's a good one? What's that texting one?
WhatsApp?
Yeah.
Join us on WhatsApp.
No, we don't have a WhatsApp.
What about Line?
Don't have a line.
No, not for Ghostwatch.
Well, it's been swell.
Although I realize now that the Snapchat icon might work really well for Ghostwatch.
We should get spectacles. Snapchat spectacles. Have you heard of those?
No.
They're sunglasses with camera built in.
And you take a picture?
So, no, you can take video. So you press a button up here and then a little light rotates in the corner saying that you're recording, and you can do 10-second, 20-second, or 30-second videos, and it just like automatically puts it on your Snapchat.
Fancy.
There are vending machines that get put up for like 4 hours in cities, and there's like 6-hour lines to get up there to buy the spectacles for $140 Earth dollars. And then they sell out, and then people are like, okay.
Huh.
I had 2 friends wait in line.
What planet are we on?
You know
Earth.
Rex?
She said Earth dollars.
There's a legitimate store in New York
Are these like silly bands for adults?
for Snapchat.
Were you saying silly bands aren't for adults?
It's okay, Heather.
Mm.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.